I started my law enforcement career early on. I was 17 years old, working as a volunteer for the crime prevention department. It was fairly new. The police department were putting together a COP program, which is a community-oriented policing program, where citizens would get some training and they'd go out and do citizen patrols and check locked doors and on businesses and check for graffiti, and that's how I first got my foot in the door doing crime prevention. That would kind of get me involved with reserves. I really wanted to do reserves after turning 21. I got involved with reserves and then became a reserve. And 3 years into my reserve program, I was asked to do provisional police officer, which is kind of like a relief officer, but I did it for 7 years, covering for officers that would go on military deployments, on officers that were injured for long periods of time. And so I just kind of, covered this spot and covered that spot. And so I spent 7 years working full time for the police department. And then I transferred to the code enforcement, and I worked as a code enforcement officer for 5.5 years. Meanwhile, I still kept my reserve status, and then I resigned from the police department as a reserve, and then worked for the Grand County Sheriff's Office as a reserve officer for 1.5 years. What I liked about being a police officer and being in law enforcement, I liked the fact that people would call and I could go help them, whether it was, a burglary, a cold burglary, somebody needing help, domestic, whatever the situation is. I just felt like I was helping, and a lot of times the police officers get a short, kind of a bad rap for things that are happening, throughout the country. But I could say, in working for so long with the police department here, we've got a really good professional group here, and we've got it good. These guys are very, very professional, and I was just happy to be part of them for the period of time that I was.